Elara Voss had never believed in fate. She believed in salvage schedules, in the exact number of credits a cracked plasma coil could fetch on the black market, and in the fact that her father's old freighter, the Stolen Moon, could still outrun anything short of a Hegemony cruiser if you knew which relays to overload. On the night everything changed, she was crawling through the carcass of a derelict mining rig, orbiting the rust-colored moon locals called New Terra. The rig had been gutted decades ago, but people always missed something. A forgotten data shard, a coil of superconductor, a bottle of real whiskey. Elara found the last two and was prying open a wall panel when her wrist scanner screamed. Life signs. 1. Strong. Inside a compartment that should have been vacuumed for 50 years. She should have sealed the panel and left. Salvagers who opened mystery coffins usually ended up floating beside them. But the Stolen Moon needed a new gravitic stabilizer, and curiosity was cheaper than hope. The panel hissed open. Inside lay a man. No, not a man. He was tall, easily 2 meters, skin the color of moonlit mercury with faint bioluminescent veins that pulsed slow indigo. His hair was black and liquid, moving slightly even when he did not. For arms, 2 folded across a bare chest, 2 bound behind him with cuffs that looked grown rather than manufactured. A brand seared into his collarbone glowed dull red. 3 intersecting circles. The mark of the most wanted being in the known galaxy. Vren. The ghost of the Helix Nebula. Assassin. Thief. Destroyer of the pleasure moon Avalon 9. Responsible, they said, for 17,000 deaths. He was unconscious, bleeding silver from a wound in his side, and still the most beautiful thing Elara had ever seen. She dragged him back to the Stolen Moon because she was an idiot. She told herself it was for the bounty. 10 million Hegemony credits. Enough to buy a new life on a core world where no one asked your name. But the moment his eyes opened, eyes like twin novas, violet ringed in gold, she forgot about credits. You should have left me, he rasped in perfect universal, voice like velvet over broken glass. They will come for me. And now they will come for you. Elara sealed the medbay and set the Stolen Moon on a burn for the asteroid belt. Let them come, she said, surprising herself. I've outrun worse. Part to the price on both their heads. The Hegemony broadcast hit every channel 12 hours later. Wanted. Vren designation X9 Ghost. Last seen. New Terra orbital graveyard. Accomplice. Human female Elara Voss Stolen Moon registry. Dead or alive? Preference dead. Elara stared at her own face on the screen. A grainy still from some port camera 3 years old. And felt the galaxy shrink around her. Kale recovered faster than any human could. By the time they reached the smuggler moon of Calith, he was moving like smoke, 4 hands doing the work of 6 men as he helped her patch hull breaches from a Hegemony patrol skirmish. He never apologized for the trouble. He simply watched her with those burning eyes and asked quiet questions about Earth, that was, about music, about why humans cried at sunsets. On the 3rd night, she found him on the observation deck staring at the stars. I didn't destroy Avalon 9, he said before she spoke. The Hegemony did. They needed a scapegoat for their weapon test. I was convenient. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to decide what you believe. He turned. The brand on his collarbone pulsed angrily. My people, the Lyr, we bond once. Irreversibly. When we choose, the brand burns cold. Mine has burned hot for 9 years. He stepped closer. Until 3 nights ago. Elara laughed, sharp and disbelieving. You're saying I'm your soulmate? That's the worst pickup line in the galaxy. It is not a line. It is biology. And it is agony. He lifted one of his lower hands, hesitated, then brushed a knuckle across her cheek. The contact sent lightning through both of them. I will leave if you ask. I will not drag you into this war. She should have told him to leave. Instead she kissed him, tasting starlight and blood. Part 3 running. They ran for 4 months. From Calith to the ice rings of Virion, where they sold fake transponder codes, and Elara learned that Lyr could survive hard vacuum for 11 minutes. From Virion to the nebula graveyards of the Helix itself, where Kale taught her to navigate by the songs of dead stars only his people could hear. They stole, they fought, they loved in the narrow bunk of the Stolen Moon while Hegemony cruisers burned whole systems looking for them. Bounty hunters came, human, android, things that had never been either. And every time Kale killed with a grace that broke Elara's heart. She began to understand the shape of the lie. The weapon that destroyed Avalon 9 was called the Silence Engine. It unraveled gravity inside a 50,000-kilometer sphere. The Hegemony claimed Kale had stolen it. In truth, they had built it, tested it, and when the LYR ambassador discovered proof, they erased the evidence along with 17,000 innocents. Kale had been trying to bring that proof to the Galactic Concord for 9 years. Every death laid at his feet was a distraction, a shadow play to keep the hunters chasing him instead of the truth. And now Elara carried a copy of that proof in a data crystal fused to the bone of her wrist, surgically implanted while she slept off a concussion on Calith. He hadn't asked permission. He had simply decided her life was worth more than her choice. She wanted to hate him for it. She couldn't. Part for the trap at Oblivion Gate. They made their final run to Concord Prime, the neutral station where the galaxy's law was born. One chance to upload the evidence to the public nets before the Hegemony fleet caught them. They never made it. Oblivion Gate was a choke point, a narrow corridor of stable space ringed by black holes. Perfect for an ambush. The Hegemony dreadnought Inexorable was waiting, along with 3 wings of fighters and a man Elara had once called Uncle, Commander Elara Voss, her father's best friend, the officer who'd raised her after the accident that took her parents. Ren's face filled the comm screen, older, harder. Stand down, Elara. Give us the LYR. This ends now. Kale was already moving, plotting a slingshot course around a microsingularity that would tear an ordinary ship apart. Elara saw the math on his face and knew. Even if they survived, the stolen moon wouldn't. There's another way, she said quietly. No. I'm not asking. She overrode the helm, locked him out with the captain's code only she knew. You get the proof out. That was always the point. Elara. I love you, she said, and triggered the airlock cycle. He fought, for arms weren't enough. He screamed her name in the Elware tongue, a sound like shattering crystal. But the pod jettisoned, carrying him toward the narrow eye of the gate where a stolen Concord courier waited to jump him to safety. The stolen moon rolled to face the Inexorable alone. Ren's voice cracked for the first time in 30 years. Elara, don't. She opened a channel to the entire fleet, to every bounty hunter listening on the dark Frex, to the galaxy itself. This is Captain Elara Voss of the Free Freighter Stolen Moon. I'm transmitting Hegemony Black File 97 Echo. Authorization code. Avalon. Watch it. Share it. And know what they've done in your name. Then she fired everything the old ship had into the dreadnought's forward shields, buying Kale the seconds he needed. The stolen moon died in a blossom of white fire. Part 5: The Reckoning. 3 weeks later, the Hegemony fractured. Worlds seceded. Admirals were arrested by their own crews. The Silence Engine schematics flooded every network from core to rim. Riots burned Capital Prime for 9 days. Kale Vren walked into the Concord chamber wearing the brand that no longer burned. He laid the data crystal on the table and spoke for 6 minutes without notes. When he was done, the Concord voted unanimously to strip the Hegemony of its charter. They offered him amnesty, a medal, planet of his own. He asked for one thing only. They found Elara's escape pod fused to the hull of a derelict freighter drifting near Oblivion Gate. The pod had taken a railgun round meant for Kale's courier. Life support had failed 8 days earlier. She was waiting in stasis, barely alive, silver Elwire blood transfused into her veins by the courier's medic, an illegal procedure that should have killed her and somehow hadn't. The brand on Kale's collarbone had burned cold the moment her heart stopped, and it guided him across half the galaxy like a compass. When she opened her eyes 6 months later in a Elwire medical cradle, the first thing she saw was Kale asleep in a chair beside her, all 4 hands wrapped around one of hers. You absolute bastard, she croaked. You gave me your blood without asking. His eyes snapped open, violet and golden wet. You gave me your life without asking, he answered. We're even. Epilogue 10 years later. They say if you sail far enough past the Helix Nebula, past the places even charted stars forget, you'll find a blue-green world with 2 moons and no name on any Hegemony map. The children there have 4 arms or 2, skin of mercury or warm brown, eyes that glow or don't. They speak universal and LYR in a Creole that belongs only to them. Their parents run a salvage school on a patched-together station made from the bones of the stolen moon, and the courier that saved them both. They teach navigation and ethics, and how sometimes the only way to save the galaxy is to burn everything you love so the truth can live. At night, a woman with faint silver veins under her skin stands on the observation deck with a Elwayar, who no longer flinches when people call him hero. They watch their daughter chase fireflies that sing in frequencies only Elwayar can hear. Elara leans her head against Kale's shoulder. "Still think I should have left you in that wreck?" she asks. He kisses the place where the data crystal once lay beneath her skin, now replaced by a simple platinum band. "Every day," he says. "And every day I'm grateful you didn't." Above them, the stars keep their ancient secrets, but for the first time in 10,000 years, some of those secrets are free.